Newsflash!
Ahoy!
It's Mr. Creighton,
And Mrs. Klein.
and we are here with your fourth and final podcast for the China unit. This is podcast 7.4, A Return to Chinese Rule. You can find this on pages 239 to 242. In this podcast, you will learn how the Chinese regained control of their country. You will also learn about the rule of the Ming and Qing dynasties. Now, guys, remember, you have a podcast quiz tomorrow, and there are a few terms and names you guys need to know. The terms are Forbidden City, Maritime, Tribute, Zhanghe, and Manchus. Remember, when you hear this sound, it means you just heard a vocab word.
Okay, and like always, is again, just a reminder, we've got a big idea for the unit, which is rulers have a great impact on their society and leave lasting impressions.
And our first essential question, how do belief systems influence a people's way of life?
After that, how do rulers shape present and future civilizations?
And finally, how are lasting effects of rulers reflected in a society?
All right, you guys, we're going to jump right into the first section that's called Overthrowing the Mongols. If you have your book open, you're going to find this information on pages 239 to 240 and be thinking of this question as you listen along. How was the Ming dynasty established? So Kublai Khan died in 1294. Afterwards, Mongol rule slowly weakened. In 1368, a rebel army led by Zhu Wanzang overthrew the Mongol Empire.
Zhu Wanzang, under the name Hongwu, became the first emperor of the Ming dynasty. He set out to bring back China's imperial state. Hongwu encouraged Confucianism. He also brought back the state exams. He rebuilt roads, canals, and irrigation systems. These projects helped trade. He improved Chinese defenses by rebuilding and extending the Great Wall. Hongwu also helped farmers by lowering taxes. In addition, he provided them with land.
Wow, sounds like a pretty generous guy.
Yeah.
All right, eventually, Hongwu began to abuse his power, though. He ended public discussion of policies. Instead, he made decisions in secret. He took control of all government offices. Hongwu also set up a secret service to spy on his people. And he had tens of thousands of people arrested for treason and killed. Okay, I don't like him so much anymore, Mr. Creighton.
Not so much. Sounds like a lot of imperials in history, though.
Yes.
Hongwu died in 1398. He had chosen his grandson to succeed him. Not everyone supported this decision. A struggle for power began. It lasted for 5 years. Finally, a son of Hongwu named Yang Li won victory. He declared himself emperor in 1403.
Yang Li was a strong, capable leader. The Ming dynasty reached the height of its power under his rule. Yang Li built a new capital city at Beijing. A large group of palaces and temples stood at the center of the city. These buildings were surrounded by 35-foot-high walls. Commoners and foreigners were not allowed to enter this area. As a result, this group of buildings became known as the Forbidden City. You guys, think about this. What improvements did the Ming emperors make in China?
All right, our next section is trade and overseas voyages. You can find this on page 241. The question you should be thinking about, how did China's relations with the outside world change under the Ming emperors? In the early 1400s, Yang Li built a fleet of ships, which he sent on a series of maritime voyages. Maritime means related to the sea. Yang Li wanted to extend Chinese influence. He also wanted tribute from other countries. Tribute is a payment by one country to another as a sign of respect.
China completed 7 long voyages between 1405 and 1433. Admiral Zhang He led the fleet. He had as many as 300 ships. He also had nearly 28,000 crew members. Zhang He sailed around Southeast Asia to India, Arabia, and Africa. He returned with tribute that included gold and jewels. China's foreign trade and reputation grew because of these voyages.
By the 1430s, Yang Li and Zhang He had died. Most Confucian officials thought China gained little from trade. They also thought that China benefited little from contact with foreigners. These officials were far more concerned with threats of invasions from Central Asia, so the Ming government ended the maritime voyages.
China did not remain isolated. Chinese merchants expanded trade with the rest of Southeast Asia. Also, European ships were traveling to China by the early 1500s. The Chinese traded silk, tea, and porcelain in return for a variety of Western goods, including silver. All right, can you answer this question? How did China's policies change after the 1430s?
All right, our third and final section is the last dynasty. You can find this on page 242. The question you should be thinking about, how was the Qing dynasty established? The Ming Dynasty declined after almost 300 years in power. Weak rulers, high taxes, and poor harvests led to rebellion. To the northeast of China was a region called Manchuria. The people there were known as Manchus. In 1644, the Manchus conquered China. They started the Qing Dynasty.
The Manchus allowed only limited trade. They also limited foreign contacts and tried to restrict foreign influence on China. The Qing Dynasty was China's last dynasty, and it lasted all the way until 1911. All right, final question for you to be considering is, how did the Manchus gain power?
Just a reminder, guys, you're going to have a quiz tomorrow on the podcast terms. And the terms are Forbidden City, Maritime, Tribute, Zhanghe, and Manchus.
All right, you guys, we're done.
Unsubscribe.